We talk Tide with Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama. You can also join him on his show, The Way It Is, Fox 97.9, Mondays through Fridays, 2 to 4 Central Time. Again, Fox 97.9, The Way It Is with Stephen M. Smith and company. The Tide with a week off, taking on LSU next week. Bama, of course, at 8-0. Jalen Hurts, one of the dynamic playmakers at his position in college football, but of course struggling at times, not all the time, but at times throwing the football down the stretch against the better teams in college football. And then, of course, the championship game loss against Clemson, in which he got off to a slow start, completed less than 50% of his passes, even though we led 2 crucial fourth quarter crunch time drives to take the lead in the championship game. Of course, there are still going to be some doubters and haters out there that point to the backup. And when you've got a 5-star coming in like Tua Tagavailoa, the cat calls are going to come. There's always perfection that some people claim and want and need and desire, especially a spoiled fan base like the Alabama fan base. So Tua, Stephen, has gotten into some games. Sure, it's been garbage time, but because of the dominance of Bama in these games, he's been able to rip off 42 attempts already. He's completed 2/3 of them through his first interception against Tennessee, but otherwise 5 touchdown passes, and he's looked pretty comfortable. And based on our conversation before we started to record, you're thinking that he's getting some valuable reps in practice at this point of the season.
He's getting valuable reps, Mark, because down the stretch of this season, and let me just say this here, I was the one that, broke that story on Jalen Hurts last year. And I was the pinata with no candy. There was no candy inside of that pinata. And though I still stand firm on Jalen Hurts, the guy, complete athlete, dynamic player, can run, strong arm. He's got all the ability that you want for him to have. I feel like he has an issue of trusting what he's seeing. And this is a correctable flaw. This is a correctable thing. You got to be able to trust what you are seeing on the field. Case in point, there were a multitude of times against Tennessee last week where there would be a receiver open downfield, whether it was Calvin Ridley or Cam Sims or tight end Irv Smith Jr., there was an open target downfield, and instead of just trusting what he's seeing and letting go of the football on time, in target, in stride to the receiver or the weapon or the target in question, Jalen's holding on to the ball, which window of that receiver being open, but then also your pocket is collapsing on you. You've got to be able to step in, confidently know what you're seeing, and release the football. And in the history of Alabama under Nick Saban right now, where quarterbacks are concerned, there's always that game where the opposing defense has stopped the running game or limited to a certain extent, and the quarterback has had to been able to make plays to win the game, throwing the football. Case in point, I'm not saying that Florida shut down Alabama's run game in the 2009 SEC championship, because it did not. But Greg McElroy made huge plays through the air in that game. He made some big-time throws. You look at the 2012 BCS National Championship game of the 2011 season and the 2012 regular season game against LSU, A.J. McCarron won those games. He won those games with big throws, with timely throws, with throws in the right spot, and throws, especially in the second meeting between Alabama and LSU, in critical moments. You look at Jacob Coker, for example. Coker in the 2015 college football playoff semifinal game against Michigan State, Derrick Henry was held to 75 yards rushing. Yes, he had 2 touchdowns, but was held to 75 yards rushing. What does Coker do? 25 for 30 passing. Hello, 83.3% for 286 yards and 2 touchdowns. Coker won that football game because he's able to put the ball in stride on target, trusting what he's seeing. Even Blake Sims, some of those same moments, being able to trust what you see. And for Jalen Hurts, that's the next form of his game that has to come into play. The brother can run. We all know he can run. He does not have to run the ball another time this year. We know he can run. What we need to see is a consistent notion of, I see an open Calvin Ridley. Even if I see Calvin Ridley in a one-on-one matchup, I have got to know that I can trust my guy against their guy at any given moment and give my guy a chance to make a play. That's the next step for Jalen Hurts. Being able to trust my cat against their cat. My cat can go out here and make this play. I'm going to give my guy a chance. I'm going to put this ball at a point where I'm trusting my guy to elevate and make this play. Even if he doesn't make the play, it's not on you. It's on him, because you have given him the chance to go up there and make that play. That's the next move of Jalen's development. And the next couple of games, when you look at LSU, Mississippi State, Auburn, I guess I'll throw Mercer in there, but the next 4 games and the postseason pending, Jalen has got to show that he can trust what he's seeing, because there's not a lot of design runs being thrown out right now. Brian Daboll wants Jalen to use his arm, trust his arm, and trust what he is seeing. That's the next step. And the reason why Tagavailoa is getting these reps is because should there be a moment where Jalen can't seem to fully trust, not saying he won't be able to do it, he probably can, but you have to throw the hypotheticals out there. Should there be a moment where he just can't quite trust what he's seeing, now you bring in a quarterback like Tagavailoa who teams haven't game planned for, who teams don't have a lot of tape on.
Especially, Stephen, trusting what you see when your cat is almost always better than the cat on the other side.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's literally the next move in Jalen Hurts' development. Jalen Hurts right now is the most dominant, unrefined quarterback in college football. And I'm not saying unrefined as if to say he sucks or he's terrible or he's god-awful. That's not what I'm saying. Unrefined is the fullness of his game has not come full surface. And he's been dominating. But the fullness of his game, to when you look at him and you say, now we see a quarterback, that's not come in. When that comes in, holy cow. But we're still waiting on that phase to come in.
I'm also glad that you mentioned Blake Sims. I think he has gotten forgotten and lost within the championship seasons and will continue to do so as history repeats itself, because Alabama, the gold standard is to win the championship, win the entire college football championship. And for Blake Sims, he put up 35 points against Ohio State. Yes, he made a couple mistakes in that game, but bottom line, against maybe the best defense in the country and the eventual national champion, he did his job for the most part. The quarterback's responsible for putting points on the board. He put up 35. You would think normally, if you look through Bama's championship runs from 2009 to the present, that would have been good enough almost every time, but not on that particular night in New Orleans. But Blake Sims had a fine career to finish off, a fine season in particular to finish off his Alabama career in 2014.